So D-Wave builds quantum computers. The way that they work, if you know how this works, is one of the interpretations is that you tap into these parallel universes and they do computations. Sounds really weird. But what's happened is this idea has been hijacked to describe something called the Mandela Effect, which is this thing where the past changes. So think about something you know to be true from the past. And then imagine you went out on the internet and you can't find it at all. It's not there. It doesn't match with your experience. So these people think that D-Wave is responsible, and CERN. And of course, the quantum key to the abyss factors into it somehow. I'm not exactly sure how.
You are now within minutes of horror, because in this video, I'm going to ask a question about the Mandela Effect that is hardly ever asked. And that question is not what is the Mandela Effect, or even if the Mandela Effect is real or not. But why does this phenomenon even exist in the first place? And to a large population of people, this phenomenon is as real as UFOs and aliens. If you were to ask your grandparents or even your parents have they ever heard of the Mandela Effect, more than likely they would tell you no, as the first known Mandela Effect wasn't created until 2009, when paranormal researcher Fiona Broome coined the name in 2009 after becoming convinced that the then South African president Nelson Mandela had died in prison in the 1980s. But to the surprise of Fiona Broome and to many others, Nelson Mandela did not die in prison. He was released in 1990, went on to lead South Africa and died in 2013. Instead of being beaten in prison, he would pass away due to a respiratory tract infection. But that does indeed beg the question, why all of a sudden in 2009 did people start questioning what they've always known to be true, and even reality itself? But going back to your grandparents, like I said, if you ask them if they ever heard of the Mandela Effect during their time, they will say no. But if you ask them about a very popular TV show during their time, The Twilight Zone, who was the narrator, more than likely they will say Rod Serling. But it is and always has been Rod Serling. You may have some people that will say, no, it's always been Rod Serling. But why do we still have some people that still remember it to be a certain way? If you were to ask your parents, what did Darth Vader say to Luke Skywalker during their encounter in Empire Strikes Back during the final scene, more than likely they will say, Luke, I am your father. Some will even vividly remember the pause between Luke and I am your father. They will be shocked to know that it is and always has been, no, I am your father.
On the dark side, Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No, I am your father.
The name Luke is never mentioned during this scene. The phrase Luke, I am your father has been used in other media and very popular outside of Star Wars. Which makes it even the more odd is that prior to 2009, nobody argued or even corrected this phrase. One of the most popular Mandela Effects, even more popular than Nelson Mandela himself, happens to be the book Berenstain Bears. But the Berenstain Bears is not the Berenstain Bears. It is and always has been the Berenstain Bears. There are many more examples of the Mandela Effect outside of the three that I mentioned. But why do so many people happen to have this false memory? There could actually be multiple answers as to why people are suffering with false memories, even involving a certain location in Switzerland. Now, science actually happens to believe that the Mandela Effect is real, but not in the way that you may think. They don't believe that there are some aliens that are controlling our memories, or there is an evil organization crossing over parallel universes. Scientists are proving that this phenomenon is caused by a human condition known as false memory syndrome. Researchers studying this topic stated it is important to remember how prone we can be to inaccuracy. Continuing to state, very often we are processing information. We see things as we think they are rather than what they actually are. Attention is a very interesting phenomenon. With the Mandela Effect, people are often remembering things the way they think they should be rather than what they actually are, because we just process things very quickly in everyday life. Researchers would also conduct a false memory test in which people received a list of words to recall. For example, people were given sewing related items like a pin, cotton, or thread, when they were asked to recall them, they would also recall words that were not on the list. The words that were recalled that were not on the list were still associated with sewing, like a needle. Ken Drinkwater, a fellow researcher at Manchester Metropolitan, added that the effect might be connected to a condition known as false memory syndrome. In their individual identity and in the way they see the world, people are influenced by factually incorrect recollection. People could strongly believe in something or strongly believe that they've had this experience or memory, but in actual fact, it's all fantasy. Researchers several years ago got to look at whether people could tell the difference between genuine and imagined memories. If you ask people questions about an air disaster, for example, when they recall the events, they wouldn't just recall what they saw on the news. They would also recall additional information. Because they aren't able to discriminate between what they've seen, their actual memory, and what they'd imagine. If you think about a plane crash, you can imagine many associated things because you've seen it in a film or TV or in the news. Scientists and researchers stated this is the answer to the very real Mandela Effect, but this doesn't answer the question why this even became a topic, why this even started in 2009 and onward. False memory syndrome can be an answer for some, but for others the answer is more mysterious, more sinister, and they say you can find the answer just a year prior to 2009, even pinpointing to the exact day and time, September 10th, 2008 at around 10:28 in the morning. In Geneva, Switzerland, a beam of protons had successfully steered around the 27-kilometer Large Hadron Collider, or also known as the LHC, for the first time. The machine was ready to embark on a new era of discovery at the high-energy frontier. The main purpose of the LHC experiments was to address questions such as what gives matter its mass, what the invisible 96% of the universe is made of, why nature prefers matter to antimatter, and how matter evolved from the first instance of the universe's existence. September 19th, 2008, there was an incident at the LHC. During powering tests of the main dipole circuit in Sector 3-4 of the LHC, a fault occurred in the electrical bus connection in the region between the dipole and the quadrupole, resulting in mechanical damage and release of helium from the magnet cold mass into the tunnel. Nobody was hurt, but multiple theories had risen from this incident, including a portal opening to even a parallel universe merging into ours. What many people don't seem to realize is that the organization known as CERN, those in charge of the Large Hadron Collider, have tested accelerators prior to 2008, even going all the way back to the 1950s. CERN's first accelerator, the sync-rock cyclotron, started up on May 11, 1957. They would actually compete with Russia all the way up to the 1970s to see who had the more powerful proton accelerator. But unlike the other particle accelerators in the past, the Large Hadron Collider, which was initiated on September 2008, is the world's largest and most powerful particle accelerator. So powerful that it has left the door open for conspiracy theories, that the LHC's true purpose is to open pathways to other realms, dimensions, and parallel universes. There is even a theory that the Large Hadron Collider is trying to open a gateway to hell itself. But no matter the theory and no matter the true purpose behind the collider, for many, the Large Hadron Collider and the Mandela Effect do go hand in hand. This theory is not too far off because scientists in Geneva who have been working closely with the LHC have stated, parallel universes, unknown forms of matter, extra dimensions, these are not stuff of cheap science fiction, but very concrete physics theories that scientists are trying to confirm with the LHC and other experiments. So scientists have been playing around with the idea of parallel universes, even conducting experiments. What's to say, even unbeknownst to these scientists, that their experiment was a success, and they don't know that we have actually merged with another parallel universe. Because if parallel universes do exist, then there would be an infinite number of universes. With an infinite number of universes, it is very possible that we just merge with a universe where their change is as something as simple as a name of a book. This could also explain why some people remember something one way and others remember it in another way. That many people do believe that Nelson Mandela did die in a prison in the 1980s, but also many people do remember Nelson Mandela becoming president and passing away in 2013. These people who remember two different things were from two different realities that are now merged into one. How some people believe that the Monopoly man always wore a monocle, even though he never wore such an item, or Tinkerbell writing the Disney logo in Disney movies, but she never did. You remembered it wrong. New Mandela effects happen to be born each day. Do you believe the Mandela effect is real? If so, which Mandela effect is your favorite? Comment below. In any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.